So in the latest league patch, Riot really wanted to spice things up in the jungle this time around, so they've buffed seemingly the most random champions in the game, bringing up new jungle combinations that you wouldn't even think were possible before. I might talk about all of these new picks at some point, but I reached out to you guys in the community about who you wanted to talk about first, and by far the most popular one here was Morgana. So let's talk about it. Quick reminder that only 4% of my audience is actually subscribed, so if you could hit the button for me, that'd help a ton. On to the video. Alright, so why Morgana jungle? The new patch came out very recently, but if things stay the way they are right now, I can assure you that Morgana will be a terror in both solo queue and the likes of competitive play. As of April 17th, the day I'm writing this, Morgana is currently at a 52% plus win rate, making recently broken champions like Hecarim and Udyr look like little baby champions compared to her. By the way, let me know in the comments if you want a full guide on jungle Morg in the future. So let's break down the changes they made that pushed Morg over the edge. Believe it or not, Morgana jungle has already been talked about as being good before this patch, but the buff to her clear speed here was definitely the nail in the coffin to pushing her into the upper echelon. Her Tormented Shadows bonus damage to monsters has gone up from 150% to 200%, and that's really the only thing they did. Honestly, that's the only thing they needed to do too, because this champ is just broken out of her mind. She's now one of the fastest clearing junglers in the game, as she watches every camp just get roasted alive when she presses W, meaning that she's able to keep pace with champs like Hecarim and Olaf in their first clear, and then outpace them as the game progresses. She also has some of the most ridiculous sustain I've ever seen in the jungle thanks to her passive, which makes Fiddlesticks look malnourished with his level of healing. As far as I'm aware, she's the only champion in the game that can get gangbanged by both Gromp and Blue at level 2 and come out with essentially full HP. Completely ridiculous. With this extreme increase in her pacing, she can outlevel essentially every jungler in the game no problem. One thing to note here is that nothing else about Morgana was actually changed either, so the champion's still the same as it's always been. This means that Morgana still carries the same weaknesses as she did in support, in that she has to establish a strong lead and high tempo so that she can be useful, or else she doesn't really have the ability to contribute or do anything with her team. In jungle, however, it more so just dictates the kind of playstyle she has to go for rather than emphasizes an actual weakness. As long as you're farming a lot of camps in your games, almost nothing else really matters save for catastrophe striking in your lanes. Think of this similarly to Lilia's playstyle, in that both she and Morgana thrive off of extremely high tempo clears and using naturally created gold and XP advantages to just dominate the map and stat checking people that way. This playstyle also helps a ton to compensate for her generally weaker ganks. Much like junglers like Nidalee and Lilia, Morg will need lanes with strong setup to be successful with, but I wouldn't be surprised if every professional team's new favorite strong side top combo becomes Renekton Morgana. This is why Morgana's win rate in the jungle has shot up so much, even though she basically hasn't been touched individually as a champion. One other extremely unique thing about putting a champion like Morgana is pretty obvious actually. She's a support champion. Having a champion like Morg in the jungle brings an extremely unique aspect that we haven't seen in a while. Having access to something like Black Shield from a jungler makes Morgana an extremely strong counter ganker because she can easily deny any CC from any enemy jungler and stabilize all of her lanes. By this same aspect though, she's very much not like a carry champ unlike champs like Udyr or Hecarim right now. She can still farm extremely well and outpace those champions, but her presence is definitely felt more in zone control and being able to front to back fights, playing around picks with her bind. Nonetheless though, her presence in the metagame has definitely been felt, and I'll personally be spamming Morg in the jungle until it gets nerfed. It's an extremely fresh take, and I'm really glad and really scared of what junglers Riot will force into the meta in the future. That's it from me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay fresh.